All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Planning a national park road trip can honestly feel like taking on a full-time job, especially when you're looking at the sheer massive scale of the Northern Rockies. But hey, if you've been dreaming of wide open spaces, towering peaks, and roaming wildlife, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking the best data and expert advice to build you a beginner-friendly summer trip you're literally never going to forget. So, when I first looked at the travel data for the summer, the numbers were, well, a little intimidating. We got to address the elephant in the room here. How can your family actually enjoy the outdoors during peak season without getting absolutely crushed by the high heat, massive crowds, and super expensive flights? Summer is, without a doubt, the busiest time for American road trips. The mountain roads finally open up, which is great, but navigating that reality takes some serious strategy. We want to make sure your dream vacation doesn't turn into a sweaty, crowded nightmare with a melting toddler stuck in July traffic. To solve this and, keep your sanity intact, we're following a clear roadmap today. We'll be hitting budgeting and trip essentials, the drive from Yellowstone to Grand Teton, staying cool on trails, and finally, beating the summer crowds. Section 1. Budgeting and trip essentials. Smart planning for your wallet. Let's see how a totally stress-free trip actually begins weeks before you even pack a bag. Okay, so what really jumps out from our sources is that knocking out these three absolute essentials early is going to save you both serious money and an immense amount of hassle. First up, grab that $80 annual National Parks Pass. It's a flat-rate investment that covers your entry to every federal recreation site, so it easily pays for itself on a multi-park trip like this. Second, use a platform like Get Rent a Car to compare competitive rates. A reliable car is literally the engine of this journey, so you want to get that locked down. And finally, the data is super clear on this. You absolutely must book your flights 6 to 8 weeks in advance for peak summer. And honestly, the timing of those flights is where the real budget magic happens. If you hit that 6 to 8 week sweet spot, you can lock in rates as low as $150 to $220 flying from a major hub. We're using New York City to the Yellowstone region as our benchmark here. I mean, that's a shocking amount of savings. If you procrastinate, those prices will easily double or even triple as the massive summer rush kicks in. But here is the ultimate insider secret for the budget-conscious traveler. If your family schedule has even a tiny bit of flexibility, shift your dates just slightly into the shoulder season. Aim for late May, June, or early September. It's a total game changer. You bypass the reality of being stuck behind a line of 50 RVs in the blazing July heat. Instead, you get that glorious summer weather, but with much better flight deals, really manageable temperatures, and way fewer people competing for that perfect scenic pull-off. All right, Section 2, Yellowstone to Grand Teton, mapping out the journey. Let's hit the open road. The absolute best flow for this beginner-friendly trip is a multi-stop adventure. You're going to start with the surreal geothermal wonders of Yellowstone up north, cruise down the incredibly scenic highway connecting the two parks, and wrap up in the dramatic rocky peaks and pristine alpine lakes of the Tetons. It's this beautifully seamless progression from wild steaming earth to skyscraping mountains. You really get the absolute best of both worlds in one incredible drive. When you get to Yellowstone, you'll honestly feel like you've stepped directly onto a sprawling movie set. Summer grants you full access to all the park's roads and its spectacular, otherworldly features. Just picture yourself standing right beside the unbelievable rust, bright gold, and deep green waters of the Grand Prismatic Spring. You've got thick steam rising from geothermal pools, massive bison just casually crossing the highways right in front of your car. For a beginner-friendly trip, this park delivers wilderness on a truly epic scale, and you don't even have to hike for days into the backcountry to see it. Then, as you drive south into Grand Teton, the landscape just shifts dramatically. The dense forests open up to these incredible alpine trails and sweeping sagebrush flats where pronghorn roam. Here, you get spectacular mountain peaks and valleys that are literally carpeted with summer wildflowers. It is the perfect spot for a long, unforgettable weekend. And as a huge bonus, you are right next to the town of Jackson. That gives you super easy access to affordable dining options, spots to rent a kayak for a relaxing afternoon, and some great local culture to cap off your adventurous days. Moving on to Section 3, staying cool on trails, beating the summer heat. Let's look at some on-the-ground survival tactics. Okay, so the absolute best way to cool down out there is staying water adjacent. These easy, kid-friendly activities are total lifesavers. If you have kids with you, or honestly, if you just want an easygoing afternoon, renting kayaks or taking a guided float down the Snake River is phenomenal. You get to take in the towering Teton Peaks with this amazing cool breeze coming right off the water. Pair that with scheduling your main wildlife viewing for the cooler morning hours, and you ensure absolutely no one overheats. But if you're looking for the ultimate cool down hike, Taggart Lake is an absolute must-do. It's an incredibly accessible, beginner-friendly trail in the Tetons that gets you right to crisp, refreshing glacial waters without some exhausting uphill battle. By summer, it's typically totally snow-free and just utterly gorgeous. You get the maximum scenic reward for minimal elevation gain. And, that is exactly the kind of high payoff, low effort experience you want when the summer sun is beating down. Finally, Section 4, beating the summer crowds, where timing is literally everything. Okay, I know, waking up at 4:30 a.m. might sound pretty painful on a vacation. I definitely cringed when I first saw this advice, but a 5:30 a.m. dawn drive through Yellowstone's Lamar Valley changes everything. This is the exact moment when the park truly comes alive. You can spot grizzly bears and wolves roaming freely in the cool morning air, long before the massive tour buses and midday crowds even think about showing up. It's so peaceful, the temperatures are beautifully crisp, and you practically have the place to yourself. Just look at how crowd levels absolutely spike during those midday hours. Avoiding the trails and major viewpoints during this peak window is the single easiest way to escape both the sweltering heat and the heaviest foot traffic. Think of it as the perfect excuse to just structure your day a little differently. Do your main exploring in the low-crowd mornings, relax or maybe take a scenic drive in the AC during the midday heat, and then head back out in the medium-crowd evenings for some stargazing or a nice sunset walk. As we wrap up this planning, there is one crucial rule from our sources we really cannot ignore: leave no trace. It's so vital to remember that enjoying these pristine ecosystems comes with the responsibility of leaving them exactly as we found them. Following these principles ensures that whether we're hiking Taggart Lake or marveling at Grand Prismatic Spring, these incredible landscapes remain completely untouched and wild for all the generations that will follow us. So now that you have the ultimate blueprint for a cool, affordable, and beginner-friendly summer road trip through the Northern Rockies, the only question left is, which wild landscape are you going to choose first? Are you heading straight for the steaming geysers of Yellowstone, or are those quiet alpine lakes of the Tetons calling your name? Let this explainer be your launch pad. Go book those dates and get out there and make some incredible memories.